Hi guys, welcome to episode 5 of Holy Tea Time. This is our first episode that we are doing in the evening. Our new schedule, based on a few different factors, is Monday through Friday. We're going to be on from 7:30 till 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, so that we can honor the Sabbath, we're going to do, so we'll do a Friday morning, and then we'll do Saturday evening, and then Sunday evening as well. And then we'll start all over again Monday. Today's episode is a little bit different because I would like to, besides the Christian news segment, I want to get into what is to come, that I believe is coming in the next, obviously, 5 years, based on what different world leaders and people are saying. It's not really prediction at this point because they've documented it. They're saying it at large global conferences. And if you see me looking back and forth, it's because I'm actually live on YouTube and I'm live on Instagram. So I'm trying to go live on more than one platform so that more people can join. Some people don't have Instagram, but they do have, everybody has YouTube. And the episodes will be recorded and posted to the YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch any of them at any time, no matter what time zone you are in. So let's get into today's devotional, and we are on October 25th. Until now, you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, and your joy will be complete. John 16:24. During the American Civil War, a certain man had a son who enlisted in the Union Army. The father was a banker, and although he gave his consent to his son, it seemed as if it would break his heart to let him go. Once his son had left, he became deeply interested in the plight of soldiers, and whenever he saw one in uniform, his heart went out to him as he thought of his own dear boy. Often, to the neglect of his business, he began spending his time and money to care for the soldiers who came home disabled. His friends pleaded with him not to neglect his business in this way by spending so much time and energy on the soldiers. So he decided to give it all up, taking his friends' advice. After he had made this decision, however, a young private in a faded, worn uniform stepped into the bank. It was easy to discern from the wounds on his face and hands that he had been in the Army field hospital. The poor young man was fumbling in his pocket to find something when the banker saw him. Perceiving his purpose for coming into the bank, he said to the soldier, "My dear man, I cannot help you today. I am extremely busy. You will have to go to the Army headquarters where the officers will take care of you." The poor wounded soldier still stood there, not seeming to fully understand what was being said to him. He continued to fumble in his pockets and finally pulled out a scrap of dirty paper. He laid the filthy page before the banker, who read the following words written in pencil. "Dear Father, this is one of my friends who was wounded in the last battle and is coming to you directly from the hospital. Please receive him as you would me, Charlie." All the banker's previous resolve to focus solely on his business instead of soldiers quickly flew away. He took the young man to his own magnificent home and gave him Charlie's room and seat at the dinner table. He cared for him until the food, rest, and love had returned him to health, and then sent him back to his place of service to again risk his life for his country's flag. Now you will see what I will do. Exodus 6:1. So if you've been following along, and if you haven't been following along and this is your first episode, just go back and watch the intro episode that's on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, Holy Tea Time. It is actually a playlist on my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is the Gabrielle Fox, just like my Instagram handle, and you can watch the intro episode. But this devotional, Streams in the Desert, was actually originally written in 1925. And it was written by a woman who was at her husband's bedside for many years because he was bedridden. I mean, he was very, very ill. And so there's a lot of really cool stories, and I just really love this devotional. So I will say that there's a few different scriptures in the New Testament that Jesus reminds us that he will remember what we do for the least of us. Meaning, and I've heard this said before as well, be careful how you talk to people, because you could be entertaining or talking to an angel. And Jesus also has said that, you know, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you clothed me. And he remembers that. He will remember that. So when we get caught up in our daily life, we're working, we're grinding, we're making money, we're hustling, we're being, you know, boss bees and blah, blah, blah. We need to remember that there are people that live in countries that don't even have clean water, let alone the internet and, you know, first world comforts and TV and fast food. So how we treat, you know, those that can't really do anything for us, honestly, is very important to Jesus. And so I think that devotional just is a great reminder that, you know, the people around you are going to try to look out for you. You know, they don't want you to go under, they don't want your business to fail, etc. But it's important that we give and that we have compassion and that we care for one another, because Jesus said the two most overarching, most important commandments are love the Lord with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. So this is true and not easy, because there's plenty of people that we don't really love. Well, we don't really like, but we're called to love them anyway. Okay, now on to segment 2. If you've been following along with our Rose Handbook Bible Charts, Maps, and Timelines, very thick book, coolest book ever that I have found to show me biblical history, which I want to learn biblical history because I'm a practical, pragmatic type of gal. And, you know, somebody shoving a Bible at me and saying, listen to this, follow this, do everything this says, run your life according to this book, just because I said so, is like, wait a minute. So I actually got over my trepidation with, you know, jumping into the Bible by doing 2 things. One, I joined a church that actually taught me the scriptures and how they apply to real life. And 2, I started learning biblical history. So I've never been through this book. We're going through this book together. You don't have to buy it, but it's super cool. And if you have kids, something you could show them. Very, very cool book. Okay, so we're going through the Dead Sea Scrolls. I held this up so that people could kind of screenshot these pages from the live. And we went through, you know, what are the Dead Sea Scrolls? That was the last episode. So I'll hold this up so you can kind of see what page we're going through today. And it's how were they discovered. The Dead Sea Scrolls were just discovered in 1947, not very long ago. So, in 1946, shepherds of the Tamara Bedouin, I'm probably butchering that, tribe settled in a desert area between Bethlehem and the Dead Sea, where they tended their flocks and herds. According to local hearsay, a teenager by the name of Muhammad El-Dib, Muhammad the Wolf, went in search of a stray goat. Believing it to have wandered into one of the caves that honeycombed the limestone cliffs, he threw a rock into the cave to scare it out. Instead of hearing the bleat of a goat, he heard the sound of breaking pottery. He climbed up into what is today called Cave 1 and found ancient clay storage jars filled with 7 scrolls. 4 of these scrolls were sold in Bethlehem to an antiquities dealer known as Kando. He in turn sold them for $97.20 to the Archbishop of the Monastery of St. Mark's in Jerusalem. The Metropolitan, a high office in the priesthood of the Syrian Orthodox Church, Mar Athanaeus Yeshu Samuel. The other 3 were sold to Fidi Salahi, another antiquities dealer in Bethlehem, who in turn sold them to Hebrew University professor Elazar Sukenik in Jerusalem. So this was discovered and they didn't even really know. The first few people that it sort of changed hands into didn't even know what this was. This is like one of the most major archaeological, biblical, historical finds of our lifetime, of many lifetimes, to be honest, in history. The Bedouin shepherds searched more caves, bringing most of their finds to Kando. Meanwhile, the Metropolitan permitted John Trevor of the American Schools of Oriental Research to publish news and photographs of the find to the world in April 1948. Soon after, British archaeologists conducted a careful survey of the region and discovered several other caves with scrolls, including those along a terrace in Qumran. Of these, Cave 4 yielded approximately 15,000 fragments representing some 600 manuscripts. So a manuscript, imagine, is like a little, a compilation of, like they were putting together pages for a book. 600 manuscripts. These were not found in storage jars, but beneath the cave floor, indicating a rapid burial because of impending danger, perhaps the Roman invasion of Jewish territory in AD 68 that led 2 years later to the complete destruction of Jerusalem. Cave 7 was also unique in that it contained the fragments of 19 texts in Greek, the same language used to write the New Testament. When the Arab-Israeli War broke out in 1948, the Metropolitan took his 4 scrolls to the United States and offered them for sale in an ad in the Wall Street Journal. Yigael Yadin, an archaeologist and the son of Professor Sukenik, anonymously purchased the scrolls for the State of Israel for $250,000. Later, these 4 scrolls and 3 others were put on public display at the Shrine of the Book, a museum built in Jerusalem especially for scrolls. The State of Israel also houses other scrolls in a climate-controlled basement of the Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem. Some scrolls are located in other countries, such as the Copper Scroll in the Citadel Museum in Amman, Jordan. Very cool, very cool. Let me see what time it is. Okay. We're going to, I think my YouTube just cut, so that's okay. I wanted to show you guys this real quick before I get into my very short spiel about what's to come and what I consider to be big news. If you like tea as much as I do, and you have read what I've read about tea, which is that all the tea bags are full of microplastics. Apparently they're horrible for you, and when you pour the hot water on, it's like super toxic. So I was like, what do I do? I happened to be at a farmer's market just looking for tea, and the tea that I bought came with this little kit, and in the kit is this little guy. It's stainless steel, so it won't rust, and the basket just twists right off the top, and it even comes with this little saucer, so when I'm done with it, I can set it on its own little saucer so it doesn't drip all over my table or my desk in this case. And you just take raw tea leaves, well, not raw, but you know what I mean. You just take tea leaves and you fill up the cup with like a tablespoon, and yeah, you brew your tea. No microplastics. Cheers. Okay, let's get into. So, as some of you may know, if you follow me, I have been in the political sphere before, and I run a group. I'll just call it a conservative group. And I'm having someone come speak on the digital ID stuff on Tuesday. And I was watching a podcast, and I'm just going to quickly encourage everybody before I sign off, because I want to be done by 9, even though we jumped on a couple minutes late because 8:30 to 9 cut off. I watched a podcast on Tucker Carlson, and by the way, you can download Tucker Carlson's app, TCN app, on whatever phone you have, and you can watch his podcast. And he did a podcast very recently with a demonologist. I know that sounds crazy, but the guy is actually a believer. He's a follower of Christ, but he studies the other side. He studies them so that he kind of knows what it is that they're doing and what they're planning to do to us, meaning humanity. And I was watching his podcast, and I will, what I'll do is I'll put a link to the podcast in the comment section of the video on YouTube, this episode. I'll put it in the comment section, and I'll also, if I do a quick reel of this episode, I will put it in my stories, because you won't be able to click on it if it's in my comments. So I will put it in my stories. The reason why I'm talking about this is because the gentleman goes, I'm already concerned about the whole digital ID thing, but he goes more in depth into blockchain and how it is that they're using AI and where AI comes from, which is really creepy. Just watch the episode. I highly, highly recommend everybody watch this episode. He does a lot of great podcasts, but this one in particular, if you're a believer, you need to understand this. You need to understand what's coming, why they're doing it, where it comes from, that it's ancient, that it is very demonic. And you know what? Even if you're not a believer, or you are, you know people that are not believers, I would send them this podcast, because they don't have to believe in the Lord Jesus Christ to understand that what the guy's talking about with AI, with digital ID, with blockchain, all that stuff, these are things that are actively happening. These are current modern reality. So I just highly recommend that everyone watch it, because I'm going to be doing a whole separate project outside of this show and these episodes on this subject of what's to come and what we need to do to prepare, because there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's biblical prophecy, but there is things that you can do to prepare your families and prepare others, to share this and warn others. So thank you for tuning in. And if you jumped on late, you can watch this on YouTube. The link is in my bio. All the episodes will be uploaded to YouTube in the playlist Holy Tea Time. And I will see you guys tomorrow night, Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. And then we start our Monday morning, Tuesday morning, through the week, on Monday, 7:30 a.m. Have a blessed evening and a blessed weekend. See you soon.